All right, thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. To begin our conversation on ending banditry in the Northwest, let's take this background report by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
Banditry has now become a common word to the ears of many in Nigeria, knowing well about their nefarious activities, which has been a source of concern, especially in the northwestern part of the country. It is estimated that there are about 30,000 bandits spread across numerous groups in northwest Nigeria, with the group's numbers ranging from 10 to over 1,000 fighters. It is a composite crime that includes kidnapping, massacre, rape, cattle rustling, and the illegal possession of firearms. Over time, efforts are being made to nip in the bud the activities of bandits, but the hydra-headed monster still tends to ugly head. Since 2011, there has been the surge in their activities in Kaduna, Katsina, Kano, Sokoto, Jigawa, and Zamfara states. This explains why the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawali, directed the Chief of Defense Staff, along with other military chiefs, to move with him to Sokoto State to combat the escalating menace of banditry, kidnapping, and terrorism in the Northwest. He stressed the need for intensified military operation to dismantle these criminal networks and restore peace in the region, while assuring the people in the entire Northwest region that the security forces would leave no stone unturned in their efforts to flush out the bandits. The mission would closely supervise operations aimed to neutralize the notorious bandit leader Bello Turji and his gang. One could only watch how effective this new approach will be and expect a better result. But what else can be done to rid the region of banditry? A golden question our guest in the studio will be answering shortly.
All right, many thanks for the background report, Yemi. We have with us now for the conversation Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, development and security expert. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. And joining us from Kaduna is Major Muhammadu Bashir Shuaib Galma.
Kano.
Oh, Kano. You have the man from Kano?
Yeah, Dr. Yahuza Getso, Security Intelligence and Investigation Expert, CEO, Director, Forests, Criminality Intelligence, Center for Security, Intelligence Research and Community-Driven Development, Abuja, and Managing Director, Eagle Integrated Security and Logistics Company Limited. It's a long list. Many thanks, Dr. Yahuza Getso, for joining us for the conversation.
Good morning.
Okay, and joining us via Zoom from Gusau, Zamfara State is Abubakar Mohammed Nakwada, Secretary to the State Government, Zamfara State. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning.
All right. I think that's all we have at the moment.
I think you need to introduce our guest in Kaduna, Major Muhammadu. I think I saw him on the screen.
Oh, you saw him?
Yes.
Okay, that means he's joined us. Let's now welcome from Kaduna, Major Muhammadu Bashir Shuaib Galma, retired, a member of the National Institute. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
For inviting me.
Let's begin from here in the studio where we get sorted who are not in the studio. What's your reading of the whole banditry thing? How did it begin? How did we get here? And why does it seem like it's intractable?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, how did it begin? How did we get there? I will say that there are a lot of, it's a multifaceted issue. But let's start with the basics and kind of the background or the underlying issues. It starts with the issues of people missing or losing their means of livelihood, basically. What do I mean by that? we have seen reports upon reports on the incidences of poverty in the Northwest in particular. Northern region in general, but also in the Northwest in particular. And over the years, there have been researches that have shown that this is leading to something. Then the issue, so first of all, poverty, illiteracy, and the rest, then the issue of criminality set in. When issues started between herders and farmers, and therefore, instead of nipping it in the bud, it was allowed to fester on for so long, and people felt there was no justice. There was no mechanism, to ensure that things were settled within the communities or at even family levels with communities, and therefore, so many things were left unattended. So there was that feeling, first of all, either rightly or wrongly, but perception is key, when people started feeling that the feeling or that perception of injustice, they couldn't complain to anybody for issues to be sorted. That traditional mechanism of conflict resolution completely was broken. And communities or individuals began to take the laws into their hands. As they did, that spiraled into larger things without that the authorities coming in to step in. So that, as we looked away, as those things were happening in the community, rural communities, because it did not affect the cities, and it was out of sight of everybody, it was just convenient for everybody to sit back. So gradually, they got emboldened. Gradually, the ground shifted. Gradually, there was that feeling of people grievance, either against them, one another, one community against the other, or one person or against the other. Then gradually, it stepped into those grievances against the state itself. So these are all a pot of or kettle of so many things that we are now seeing into what we are seeing into banditry. Gradually starting, not being nipped on the bud, grievances and poverty, lack of access, or feeling that marginalization, whether rightly or wrongly, they were there and they were not addressed. These issues snowballed into what we are having today. And to solve them, or even to understand them, we have to understand, or to understand what is actually happening now, we have to understand those things and come up with a clear mind trying to resolve them. Thus, openly with one another, talk frankly, and get people on board to say, okay, how do we handle this, or how do we solve this? Until we do that, I'm afraid that we'll just be doing cosmetics.
Cosmetics. Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, would you say that that's the way we've been going in dealing with this matter? Because you did make mention of the fact that we're not able to nip it in the bud, but government has taken steps. There was dialogue. There was bombardment in season, telecommunication services, military were deployed, all kinds of things, all kinds of tactics being put in place. So, are you saying that was insufficient or still insufficient at the moment?
Well, the results are out there. I wouldn't say the efforts did not make any impact, but they are not making the desired outcome is not there. So, which means there's something needs to change. How we look at the issues themselves and what are the solutions. Now, for every stage, perhaps if there was an earlier intervention, so for every stage of conflict, there's a different tool that should be used. Now, if you use what you're supposed to use 10 months ago today, it might not be effective. On its own, as a policy, it's effective. But because you're using it perhaps at the wrong time, it might not give that desired result. Now we have violent conflict. It's open. They're taking arms against the state. So there must be, what they will hear now is superior firepower. You need that at some point so that you bring everybody to the negotiation
Of course,
table.
we'll get back to you on what we can do now, to deal with this challenge. But let's quickly get to Kano now, where Dr. Yahuza Getso joins us from. He's a security intelligence. Let's go to Kaduna, where Major Muhammadu Bashir Shaibu Galma retired joins us. Major Muhammadu Galma, I would like to hear your take. You know, listening to Wing Commander Musa Salmanu talk about, you know, measures not being effective and all of that. Why has this problem remained with us? And why does it look like the tactics being used is ineffective?
Can I seize this opportunity and say good morning to your team? I have listened to the wing commander's comments or narrative or whatever you know has been said there. I can say I totally, not totally, but almost totally agreed with all what he has said. You know, the whole thing started gradually, and it was not given the attention it should have been given. But some of the root causes, one of the biggest root causes, is the matter of injustice, where the common people were seen physically cheated. By the end of the day, they discovered they have nowhere to go and complain to, and then their complaint was listened to or is listened to. So by the end of the day, with that annoyance, so many of them decided we have to find a way of, you know, solving or helping to do away with our sorrow. And one of those things is deciding, is their decision to go into this, can I call it banditry or whatever it is? We always call it, when this thing started, we were calling it farmers herders clash. We did not come out to say who are these farmers and who are these herders. So the herders, when they discovered that they became very unpopular, and so many things had happened, and like I said, they find that they have nowhere again to go to and lay their complaints so that they can get what I call it, justice. So that is the matter of the injustice I brought here. And then failure again, I'm sorry to say it, by the state in taking it long times, so many times, to dispense, cases. Whatever cases are those, well, we don't have to start, we know them. So many people will be hurt. We heard that so many of these people have been captured, and they are, they have been found. They are killing people, but when they are found, nobody hears whether they have been taken to court, whether these courts are there trying this type of offenses or something like that. So this, like what they used to say, justice delayed is justice denied, and it's one of those things again that used to push this banditry. Again, then we come out to this matter of unemployment of the youth. You see, like I said, I don't know where the statistic was got when when somebody was reading the comments in your studio there about the numerical strength of these bandits, which is very, very difficult to say. But if we go by their strength, I think it's just nothing for the armed forces of this country to deal with. However, we have to consider the type of operations we have been undergoing, or we have been carrying all the time. What I discovered here is this: we have been experimenting, on so many times, and when you keep on experimenting, you try this, you find that it's not working. You try this, you find that it's not working. Like we generally said, then we have to sit down and why are we getting it wrong? And this is exactly what we failed to do for those, by your calculation, 13 years back. That is by your calculation. But as far as concerned, this thing, as far as the Northwest is concerned, it became more prominent about 10 years ago, gradually. And what the armed forces of the service chiefs of those days were saying, they were expressing fear so that there will not be any infiltration by the people or by the fighters, in the Northeast region. But I don't know what happened. Maybe their complaints were, were not heard of, properly, or because we are always thinking of this human right. You cannot stop and check people coming from somewhere to there. You have to give them a chance, and so on and so forth. And another thing again is this: we have to look why this thing is always continuing with sign of not finishing. We have to look for some reason very close to us, within us. Intelligence collection. You will find out that these bandits, they pay more attention. They get their own, what do you call it, profit by seriously adopting a way of getting intelligence report about the movement of the state forces. They don't care to spend anything. And then people are ready to give them. Maybe for self-preservation, people are ready to give them this information. And then, again, they spend money to get them. I see no reason why we will just sit down and start thinking those people, they don't have this. Their intelligence services or agents are within us in the cities. And even some of their handlers, when I say handlers, logistically, what are those logistics? Supply of weapons and then ammunition. Because you have to, people used to come and say, weapons. You have to, separate them. Ammunitions, without them, these weapons are mere sticks in the hand of. So the questions we are going to ask ourselves: how do we, keep on, allowing? Because I don't want to believe that all these ammunitions are coming from outside. Like we used to always say. We will say weapons are coming from outside. We will say ammunitions are coming from outside. But we will hear somebody has been arrested from one of the states in the north central states carrying weapons, ammunition, to somewhere very, to a state very close to a neighboring, country. That's a border where we're always maybe suspecting these ammunitions are coming, though they differ. Ammunitions can be those ones of the double barrel, pump action, and so on and so forth. But the real ammunition, this one, military ammunition, especially this 7.62 special, with all these tracer, fire, and so on and so forth. Because when you hear these blazers coming out, describing the weapons these people are using, you will think that, maybe they are people from another planet. But it is nothing. It's because those people, they don't know what they are. You will just hear what they are firing, and the whole village will be lit. Because because of the brightness. They are all tracer, where are they getting them? Now these are the questions to ask, to start asking. As far as the weapons are concerned, automatically we know how many of them got into the country. The problem in Libya, the problem in Sudan, the problem in former, North Central Africa, the problem of Chad, all this Sahel region, and so on and so forth. There was a time a Nigerian, somebody from Nigeria, was arrested between the border of Niger Republic and Mali with bags upon bags upon bags of these AK-47s. About 4 years or 5 years ago. When he was arrested, he described himself as a Nigerian. He showed them his particulars and this. Where are you carrying these weapons to? He told them that they are not meant to be used inside Niger. He was going to cross the border to bring them into the into the Nigerian, his own country. To do what? To sell. We have been hearing of cases where some women were arrested with bag of garis, with all these dismantled AK-47s, hidden. We have had where a woman was arrested with these ammunitions inside a gallon of, palm oil. All these type of things, mainly this smuggling. Some of them will call them because of greed. But most of these, when you hear a woman is being arrested, carrying all these things and so on and so forth, she must has been enticed due to poverty, that is, prevalent, is now prevalent. They are ready to risk all these type of things. So unless we find out what are beside what the wing commander mentioned, we have to find out why is it continuing. Because I know without the plenty of ammunition around, rifles would not just be fired. And without these ammunitions, all these rifles are ineffective. So that's all what I can say for now. Maybe if I have another question towards me, then I will say something.
I'm retired for your contribution so far. We'll get back to you. And while we try to stabilize the connection to Kanu and Kaduna, I guess, no, to Zamfara, we will come back to the studio. Now, I've been able to deduce a few things. We get information. There is institutional memory. Things happened over the years, being able to link. Now, when things happen in developed countries, you see tracking. Oh, that this kid, for instance, the person that tried to shoot the former President Trump, they were able to track and say, okay, for a month or so, or thereabouts, he's been tracking how he's going to achieve this. They may not have been able to nip this in the bud, but at least they were able to deal with it on the spot and then be able to get information. Why does it seem that intelligence is lacking? Or if it's not lacking, we are not putting it to good use. The information we have available, intelligence, institutional memory, don't seem to work for us. Are these connected to, the prolonged banditry that we see in the north?
Yes. So the simple answer is yes. They are connected because if you can't join the dots, you can't figure out what is happening. Now, it's a cultural thing, I think, amongst us. We don't go into the nitty-gritties of most things. All of us, we just view things at the surface and do not try to connect. If A is, why is this here? Why is it not there? It was here yesterday. Everybody just goes about business just without paying attention to those little details. That's as individuals, but as communities also, and then generally even within our institutions, because we populate those institutions. So you find out that we don't connect. When you find out there are ample of information out there, people have gathered individually, but they are just scattered everywhere. That ability to connect those informations and to jot out and to try to make sense out of it is what sometimes is lacking. Because if we are able to do that with the information that let's just example, we have the BVN, we have NIN, we have, that's of late, we have the registry for birth certificates, we have hospitals, we have, all these are places where there are information, people use cards, people use, so there are traces everywhere. You can connect. But what happens is that every institution or every organization views its information that it has as its own information for its own use and is very unlikely to share it with others. Also, as individuals, we don't, even in this, so there's that layback at the individual, community, and institutional level where people don't pay attention, and when they pay attention, this, when you see something, say something. Sometimes when you even say something, the question is, who do you say it to? And is he likely to use that information that you give? So we need to change that culture that if we want to if we want to challenge and stop this, that every bit of information is important and we have to connect those dots. Like you said, the issue of institutional memory. If you go in our research institutions, and we have so many of them, especially in the military. I give you an example. The military in Nigeria is almost one of the most tutored, or if I'll say, in terms of training. We have, for every rank that you go to, you have a major course that you go and do, apart from minor courses. And you research, you write on these issues that are happening, you do scenario settings, you do all you can do. But what happens, I think, most of the time is that we leave them where we do them. They are in the shelves of our research institutions. Those institutional memories, in terms of research, in terms of experience, are not they are not tied up. We have failed to be able to tie that lessons learned, the experience, and so on, to what is actually on the ground, and to even kind of anticipate ahead of the enemy what they are likely going to think. One of the teachings is that you must, to defeat the enemy, you must think like that enemy. You must anticipate what is he likely going to do. You do scenarios and so on. So everything that is happening should have been, and I know it has been, thought of. There are, exercises that are done to simulate this. But you find out that in terms of implementation, there are so many other factors also extraneous. The institutional, that's within I'm not absolving the military, of course, but sometimes some of these things are bigger than you see. I give you an example. We have to start asking questions that those subventions to the military, do they really get to them? If they get to them, do they really use it for what it is for? What are the mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that when X amount is budgeted for X function, it gets there and that it's done with that?
Away from all these factors that you're mentioning that could be a problem, is there a possibility that foreigners are involved in this whole banditry thing in the Northwest? That's why it's not going away.
Well, you can't rule out that, but what you have to put, and I don't like the idea of everything we blame someone else, right? You can't rule out that. We have in the past where you have the issue of porous borders, like my senior colleague has said, the issue of you see the Sahelian region, because of the history of conflicts and so on, and this free movement of goods and services and people. So there's that likelihood that there's that infiltration. And there's issue about crime and criminality, organized crime. Wherever it's happening, they find their way there because there's much to be made. When there's no law and order, when there is chaos somewhere, people benefit from that. And so their antennas are out there. Where is it? So they'll flock in there. So yes, there's possibility there's a lot of foreigners for various reasons, not organized as other states trying to subvert or kind of do whatever. But maybe because they see a free flow and they want to be part of the party.
Okay, the party is not a good one, not favoring the country, but I'd like to find out from Major Muhammadu Bashir Shuaibu Galma, in your first response, to a question, you talked about injustice and the people feeling cheated. I'd like you to please explain what that means. Injustice in what way? How were the people in this region cheated? And do you really think that the people are the ones themselves and killing themselves? I ask that because just recently we saw a particular community in Zamfara where the inhabitants of that community went into the bush or the forest, if you like, to deal with the bandits themselves. I mean, they were fed up of the harassment, the kidnapping, and all that was going on in the community, and they ventured on their own into the forest. So please make those terms clearer. When you say injustice, being cheated, who cheated who and with what?
For bringing out this, I try to gloss over it, but I'm going to straighten up and say and hit the nail on the head. when we are, at the beginning, when we are always talking about this banditry, there is a certain tribe or a clan or a community that is always being castigated to have, to be those people behind this banditry. And those are the Fulani cattle, rearers. By the end of the day, so many times, when these arrests, some few arrests that were made, we found that the majority, many of them, the younger ones, are people from that actual clan of people. So when you ask them, they will come out honestly to tell you the reasons why they got into that way of life. For example, you cannot expect being a Fulani man with my plenty of herd of a large number in my herds of cattle. By the end of the day, some people will come and drive them away. By the end of the day, when they are discovered, I am called, or we all appear there to come and recognize or come and identify whoever is, has lost, lost his wealth. Come and identify. When you come to identify them, sometimes you are asked to pay some money to get them released. And when they are released, you are not going to go far again. So people will appear from somewhere and seize them. And you think somebody who has taken a long time breeding these things and want to see them grow to his happiness, then all these things happening to him, and he has nowhere to report. Even if he reports, go and come back next week, keep on pursuing, come and report, come on, until they get tired and say, no, they are not going to do it again. Let me tell you, there is a case. I want people to listen. A traditional, a first-class emir, well respected. Some of these people went and reported to him about the theft of their cattle. What he told them was that it was before they, the emirs, who had powers to solve this type of problem. But now he had to report to the authorities, to the police, and go to court. What the Fulani people told him, their leaders, they rather not waste their time to go there. They will leave it for God to solve their problem for them. I want you to imagine this. With this annoyance, you wake up only maybe within 2 days, with all this, your wealth, somebody has lost them. If you see somebody who is ready to recruit and then give you all the logistics to go about and do it, that's why they have no respect. That's why when they are doing this. And again, let us not gloss over the effect of what do you call it, barbiturate, all this, what do you call it, hard drugs and so on and so forth. So this is what you used to do. That one also is a contributing factor. But what I'm trying to say here, that injustice, which they feel they cannot get anywhere to, so they now find that let them take the law into their hands by going into the bush and do all these things they are doing. They don't care even if they are going to be killed in the action. And in the matter of intelligence, there is no intelligence, whether electronic, whether it is from this, from anywhere, that is better than human intelligence. And this is the intelligence, mostly, is the primary intelligence these bandits use. So that's why I always say, we, the analog officers, this digitization of almost everything, even the operations again, I think we better start, reducing the degree while we're taking it. For example, those days we know that when you are told to go in an operation, you must have a clear objective where you have your aim will tell you, this is your aim, this is where I'm going to. You understand me? I'm not chiding, that all these officers, everybody, we have been trained from the same training pamphlet. I wonder where, we keep on losing it. I wonder whereby we say that we cannot move until when we see an armored personnel carrier before we move. I wonder why people, when this type of operation, they are all supposed to be silent operations, not noisy. And then when you start, introducing all these tanks, APCs, whatever, is the only, I think, service that is no way you can stop it from being noisy, is the one up in the air there, the Air Force. Nobody will tell you that you will not hear the noise, though there are some planes that you will not hear their noise until when they have done the thing and they have gone. But if you deploy all these heavy engines into the bush, far away, there is a distance it can reach and people can hear them. And that's why I even used to wonder when people, are saying that they saw those bandits on more than 250 motorcycles. I said there's no way 250 motorcycles are coming or approaching in the night. People will not hear them from the distances, even if their lights are switched off. And even if it is in the afternoon, with these noisy afternoons, they can still be heard. So you see so many things. But when we talk now, we just say everything has been modernized. It has to be like this. Sometimes we have to go back to all this old system to achieve result. And then what you are saying here is, you raise a question. When is it going to end? That is the question the commander-in-chief is supposed to, with due respect, to ask his commanders, service chiefs, all the security heads. When are we going to see the end of this thing? Then that is the time for them. I'm sure they will come out to tell him that these things are not, going, or the sign it is going to be over is not being seen. Then that is when, unless we do that, we sit down, and even not only the commanders, even the fighting machine, these young men, doing this fight, either up there in the air or on the ground, and so on and so forth, they have to be heard. The wing commander mentioned something, which is true. We will just hear billions are being released. We keep on purchasing weapons that are not applicable to this type of operation we're seeing. When you go and buy all these costly jets, he's an Air Force officer, he will tell you, where are you going to, for what reason? One ammunition of it, if he tells you the cost, you will see the lack of wisdom whereby we keep on going out of this. We should stick to our own way of doing things. Let us not keep on depending this introduction of new things to our operation in the armed forces or in anywhere security-wise, so that we don't get, we don't keep on hearing disappointing, results because of our dependence of all this thing. We have been told how to advance on our feet. We advance so many things. You hit, you go. But this is a war that nobody knows where exactly, unless you have this human intelligence and you are told this is where.
All right. Major Galma, thank you very much for your contribution. So much that we have to also get inwards to get others to have their say on some of these issues that you have raised. Thank you very much. We'll get back to you. Let's now get to Dr. Yahuza Getso, who has joined us via Zoom now, I understand. Dr. Getso, it's a pleasure to finally have you.
Pleasure is mine. Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, we've talked a lot about how we got here. We've talked a lot about how we got, even with you, whether in the studio or out of it. But now that we are here, how do we begin to deal with this issue of banditry, because it's getting to a stage where we can say it's become an emergency?
Well, I want to commend Major Galma and the Wing Commander for their inputs, for their contributions on the program. I want to say that Nigeria have 7 outline items to manage the security challenges that we have in less than 65 days to minimize it to the minimum barriers level of probably 65 to 70 degree down. These outline items are: 1, let's have a kind of X-raying strategy to X-ray the total number of landmass being affected by these activities of the bandits, the total number of inputs, both resources, human and capital, and whatever inputs we have made, and the total number of the bandits themselves who can be profiled easily. Because I said it yesterday, I said it day before yesterday, and I'm going to repeat myself now. And even if I am asked tomorrow, I will answer the same question. None of this any hideout. None of these bandits profiles or none. None of bandit personality is unknown. There is nothing like anything unknown or anything untracked. We know who they are, we know where they are, and we know how to deal with them. Only that we refuse to do. So as we use this X-raying machine to see, or X-raying strategy, to compare and contrast the total amount of money being imputed, the total amount of capital base being imputed, and also hold some individuals accountable. When we give you responsibility and authority, you should be accountable for why you are given that responsibility, and you must account for the total number of some money and human value that have been provided for you. That is one. Secondly, we need to hold the traditional leaders and the community themselves accountable for what is happening in their respective communities. 99.9% of those bandits who have been terrorizing, who have been committing these atrocities across all the states within northwestern part of the country and the north central part of the country are indigents and citizens of those local governments, of those political wards, of those polling units, geographical territory, of those states. So we know who they are, we know where they are, we know their ancestors, we know their parents, and we know their friends. So why do we continue to roam around the shadow? Why can't we hit the target, since we have the target and we know the target? No divisional police officer, no local security officer, no commander of the immigration of the local government or commander of the civil defense corps will tell me either in Bazari, either in Shinkafi, either in Isa, either in Sabambuni, either in Gwaranyo, either in Raba, either in Shagari, either in Bukuyum, either in Anka, Zuru, either in Rafi, Nasco, Kontogora, or any other place where this activity is taking place, that I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the record, and that I don't have the trace, and I don't know who are these guys and where they are. Number 4, we have been conducting monthly review meeting where we are extracting information from the bottom to top. That is from the polling unit level, from the ward head level, to the village, from the village head level to the ward head level, to the district head level, where the local government chairman and all the key stakeholders and key players as far as security is concerned in each and every one of the local governments in the northwestern part of the country and north central part of the country, where all these atrocities has been taking place. We have been collating this information on a monthly basis and channeling it to the states where the executive governors of the states have been receiving this information, providing lists, names of locations and individuals who have been terrorizing our political wards, our communities, our villages, and where they are sleeping. What have you witnessed? Number 5, I don't believe in changing the security heads. I don't believe that it has any useful influence in changing the narratives. And I believe that the security personnel that we have in Nigeria, both military and paramilitary and all other agents, are doing their best. They are very hardworking, they are very committed, they are very ready, and they have all information and all intelligence necessary required for us to deal with this situation. Something is wrong somewhere. Number 6, inadequate personnel. It is very clear that the personnel we have are not adequate. Major Galma and the Wing Commander have, in the history of the operations during the Biafran, the early Biafran takeoff, let's go to the history and look at what happened. The cantonment in Lagos, the cantonment in all the cantonments, former Northwestern and former Central, have we done? Biafran was trying to attack. How many were they? And in how many days we have been able to put together, to mobilize those human resources and be able to train them with left, right, about on, and and the rest of it. Why can't we use the same strategy we have used in abundance, both educated and uneducated, who are willing and ready from each and every local government? Let's use the strategy of engaging minimum of 100 per polling units between the age of 17 and the age of 22 to 25. If you have 10 polling units in the political ward, you will have 1,000 youths, 100 per polling unit. If you have 10 political wards per local government, you will have 10,000 per local government. So put together, let's try this as a pilot strategy to engage these youth between the age of 17, 22, and 25 and distribute and give them basic training. They have zeal, they are willing, they are tired of roaming around the cities. They are tired of inability to visit their relations. They have the zeal, they have the enthusiasm, and they have the readiness, and they have the commitment. And some of them are educated, some are NCE graduates, some are diploma graduates, some have not gone to school. But they are very agile, and they have the patriotic mindset, who are and willing to do the needful and provide the necessary action. Which of the divisional police officer, which of the GOC, which of the commanding officer, which of the head of security agency have we ever held accountable after giving them the responsibility? How much money have we been spent in trillions during the 8 years of Buhari administration? How much money in millions and billions that we have spent from the onset of President Bola Tinubu administration? The total number of money. Let's distribute each and every thousands of the money. Let's give it a head count, and let's look at the profile and the total number. I have the total number of the bandits that were central and northwestern part of the country, and I have provided this to the Senate. I have provided Assembly. I have provided it all the security heads, and they have it, and if they need it, I can still provide it again. Let's distribute the total money being used, being spent. Can we really justify 10% of the money being? Can we really justify 10% of the money being spent by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration as far as security is concerned? If we can justify that, if we cannot justify it, let's assume 15%, then 85%, something is wrong. We need to check ourselves as far as corruption is concerned within the security agencies. We need to check ourselves as far as headcount operations is concerned. And we need to check those who have been given the responsibility and the authority to manage these situations. We need to hold them accountable. We must be ready. We must be ready to start holding people accountable for the responsibilities given to them. If we are not ready to do that, then we continue to deceive ourselves. We continue to roam around and we continue to beat around the shadow. The reality is that none of the village heads and ward heads that are not aware of who are the real terrorists, where are they sleeping. So if I, as an ordinary hunter, as an independent investigator, as someone who voluntarily going with my hunting item to the difficult terrain and hard to reach, in all nooks and crannies of the northern
I just hope nothing happens to your connection, because we need you to stay with us for this conversation. You have said so much, and you know the point that you have made about the fact that those who are carrying out these acts in the Northwest are known. Of course, would lead me to Wing Commander Musa Salmana, retired, you know, for you to respond. I'm sure you heard Dr. Yahuza Getso speak passionately about this issue and talk about the fact that as a private investigator, he knows some of these facts. And then you wonder why the military that is, you know, being saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that there's security in that region, you know, like he said, is beating around the bush in dealing with the matter.
Well, I think he is right in a way that these locations are really known. I mean, even the bandits themselves do not hide their locations. They come on social media and say, I have seen a few videos of Turji where he mentions, if he doesn't say exactly where he is, he mentions the local government, where he operates, and so on and so forth. That's just one. A lot of them come on social media or so and make videos to say this is where we are and so on. So yes, like what Dr. Getso is saying is, I don't think, and if we say that we really don't know where they are after so many years like this, then it's also failure on itself. They're using the most basic of, rudiment tactics and so on. So you will expect that they will not be very difficult to get them, or with time. I think what is lacking perhaps is that, I don't want to say, but accountability. People held accountable along the value chain, not only military, but everybody that has something to do with it. How well are we setting deadlines? How well are we holding people accountable?
When you say people that have something to do with it, are you saying that even the governors are aware?
Everybody, I'm not talking about awareness, I'm talking about responsibility to act. If you have a duty to act, then you should act. If you do not act, then you should be held accountable for not acting. If you have, for example, you're tasked with a mandate, you're appointed, or you're elected or something, and the major problem or the major solution or the major promise you made is actually issue of security, then we understand political leadership, when they make comments or when they make promises, there are people that are saddled with carrying out those responsibilities. When the president, for example, promises security, he's relying on his Minister of Defense, his service chiefs, his intelligence, and so on and so forth to carry out that. Now, where sometimes the disconnect is that when there is that strategic statement or strategic commitment, down the line, everybody must be held accountable for how well we're able to achieve that vision or that mandate, or how well we're able to carry out the tasks assigned to us. Now, if we are just what we usually call fire and forget, you just give somebody a mandate and you don't call back or you don't check back to find out how well have you done. Like he said, you give timelines and so on and so forth. I think it's important that, or time has come, that we have to individually hold people accountable. And when we do that from down the chain, you find out that things are likely to improve. Because if there are no repercussions, we started with why the banditry has gone where it is, because there are no repercussions. When people do something, they get away with it. The major in Kaduna said something like that. There's that perception that we don't get justice. It's the same thing everywhere. If there's that perception that if I do something or I do not do something that I'm supposed to do, and I'm not held accountable for that, there's a likelihood that I won't do it. I'll keep on behaving the way. So there is that need for accountability. There's that need for holding people accountable and so on. And again, when it comes to issue of resources that is being pumped in, you find out that I think we complicate simple issues. I'm not saying that the banditry is a simple issue, but if you look at the bandits, what are they using? They are not using very sophisticated weapons. They are just basic tactics and the rest. So sometimes to defeat someone at his game, you have to come really down to that level. Sometimes you have to simplify your own response. So I think it's time for us to look at how do we simplify the response. If you have someone that is fast because he's carrying all they carry is their AK-47s or personal weapons and on motorbikes, because of that they are fast, they are mobile and so on, they can strike here and move there tomorrow and so on and so on. But if our response is heavy,
it's also quick and heavy.
By the time we reach where they are, they have finished all what they want to do, and they have dissipated into thin air.
Anyway, so, we will escalate this part of the conversation when we return from the break. And when we do, we will have to get to Zamfara for the first time on the program today. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. We've been discussing the issue of banditry in the northern region of the country. And let's go to Zamfara State now, Gusau, where we have the secretary to the state government, Abubakar Mohammed Nakwada. We have to apologize for not being able to connect with you much earlier than this. But now that you are here, please tell us what's the situation with Zamfara, which has been described as one of the hotbeds of banditry.
Definitely up.
All right. Looks like we have connection issues with Zamfara State. The Secretary to the State Government, Abubakar Mohammed Nakwada, unfortunately, we have not been able to hear from him. But, let's get back to Kano now, where Dr. Yahuza Getsu is, and of course for him to make clearer some of the comments he made earlier, about the fact that, there will be no need to change heads of the security agencies, but the needful needs to be done and all of that. So I would like to find out from you, Dr. Getsu, with all the information that you have gathered as a private investigator in this matter, and your all that you know in general about banditry in the Northwest, what is the way out? We have, highlighted the problem so much. In your own view, what is the solution to the problem of banditry in the Northwest? How can we deal a decisive blow on it and get it done with once and for all? Not good enough. Well, maybe we can speak with Major Muhammadu Bashir Shaibu Galma, retired. Okay, Dr. Getso is there. Dr. Getso, if you got my question, I'd like you to please respond.
Yeah. Go back to the question, please. Come again to the question.
You give us in details, the problems in the Northwest, and, you made mention of the fact that, well, these people are known and all of that. But let's look at solutions because of time. We've mentioned the problems. Everyone has highlighted the problems, and we can see the problems with us. But what is the way out? What is the solution to the problem? What would you want to recommend, that we do as a country to deal with banditry in the Northwest?
Yeah, the solutions are simple and they are four. One, accountability mechanism to be introduced and to be enforced and implemented, whereby each and every stakeholder will be held accountable for what he or she or they are supposed to do. I have given you responsibility. You should you should account for those responsibilities. I have given you authority. You should account for those authority given to you. So both the traditional, religious, as well as the key players, the security agents on ground who have been operating, they need to be brought on board to the table and to face the wrath of the law in respect to reward and punishment. That is one, accountability, accountability, accountability. Secondly, the synergy between the agencies. Agencies need to respect, like mentioned by Wing Commander, some of the agencies, or almost all the agencies, are seeing the information that they are generating as my own, our own. Until and unless we look at Nigeria, not Air Force, not Army, not police, not mobile police, not immigration, not DSS, but let's look at what are we working for to provide an enabling environment and to have the trust and Federal Republic of. So let's work, improve synergy in operations. Number three, I said it, I'm repeating myself. We know who are the bandits. We know where they are. If government want to use for one policy of kinetic, let us use the kinetic approach to deal with situation. If they want to use non-kinetic approach, let it be used. And if the two is to be combined as a strategy, to have an interwoven collaboration and strengthen partnership between the federal institutions and the state institutions, the federal government and the state government, as well as the local government, to have worked together to come off and implement one single unique policy, either using kinetic, either using non-kinetic, either using both kinetic and non-kinetic. And finally, the issue of corruption within the cycle. Block of supply chain, how are they accessing the social needs? Because you will be surprised that some of these guys are living at their comfort zone much more than the people living at the Hilton. In that forest where they are getting access to fuel as they need it. While I and you spend 3-4 hours on the queue in Kano, Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna, Abuja before we get it. How are they getting it? The machines are serviceable. How are they being serviced? And how are they getting access to weaponries? Who manage their armories? And what are the supply chain mechanisms? We need to break that. So if we are sincere and honest, I repeat myself, and it remains my position, that we can bring down the level of insecurity in Northwest and North Central within 60 days to 65 to 75 degrees in terms of succeeding against the terrorists.
Now, Dr. Getso, thank you very much. You've said it repeatedly that people need to be held accountable. Yet, on the other hand, you argue that you don't believe in changing heads of whether military formations, of service chiefs, and all of that. So how do you propose that these people are held accountable? You have established a nexus between, corruption in the cycle and the unending banditry. You have also said there is need to hold people accountable. So how do we hold people accountable without replacing them if the job is not getting done?
The issue is the fact that in Nigeria, it is only in Nigeria. I have been to 48 countries in the world. And it is only in Nigeria that I see a situation where somebody will be given responsibility and another person will be holding the authority. So, and that is one. Two, I know the military and paramilitary personnel that we have in Nigeria. I know they have the capacity. I know they have the agility. I know they have the enthusiasm. And I know they have the training, and they can do it. So replacing them will not take us anywhere. Only that we need to hold them accountable. We have never been holding them accountable. That is why we are not moving an inch. We keep moving around the cycle because somebody is having responsibility and another person outside the door or at the back of the curtain within the room is having the authority. Somebody is having the responsibility and another person is having the authority. And why I said there is no need to change them again is that we have adequate and enough information flow. We have adequate and enough intelligence information, intelligence data to manage the situation. So those who you are bringing, if you take Mr. A out, those that you are bringing, they are still part of the system. So we have to kind of introduce reorientation strategy on how to change the psychology of them and the mindset of those we have been recruiting. Those you have within the cycle, they know the job. They can do the job. They have the capacity. We have enough information on the decks of DSS. We have enough information, enough intelligence in the office of the National Security Advisor. We have enough information on the decks of Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, the Commandant of the Civil Defense Corps and Immigration, and all other military and paramilitary, as well as the NIA, the military intelligence, and so on and so forth. We have enough information about the bandits. We have enough information about their individual profiles. We have enough information, enough intelligence on their movements. We have enough information on where they get weaponry and all other things related. I believe that Nigerian military...
Dr. Getso, thank you very much. Because of time, I think that we'll have to pause you. One very important point you have made in this conversation is the fact that we have all the information that we need. It's just to deal with the issue. Let's get to Major Muhammadu Bashir Shaibu Galma. I hope your connection is clear. Going forward, what would you want us to do? What other way can we put an end to banditry in the Northwest?
Very much indeed for coming back to me. If you remember, during one of the times I was, talking, I said there is the need. The commander-in-chief asks his service chiefs and all the security heads what is happening, how are we going to go about it. They will come out maybe and talk to him. And then after he finish with them, they are only the commanders. You should also find a way to reach to the fighting troops in all the services, all those participants, all the people, the soldiers, the police, Air Force, everybody participating. Cut across the ranks. Let him hear from them. Why is this thing taking us so much time? He will get some answers that will make him do some adjustment. Not the type of accountability you are trying to ask Dr. Yahuza to say about. If left to me, all these changes of service chiefs and so on and so forth is not that does not help the matters, because they are all trained in the same pamphlet, and when we're all the others, you will see that they are following themselves, so they are always part of the O group. So I see no much change they can be able to bring. So what I'm trying to say here, finally, thank God, before we started this program, I had been in your studio, I heard that the northern governors are going to seriously, or they had met, and they are now going to sit down seriously and pay attention to what they are going to do. But I'm asking them, please, if they want to, whatever they are going to decide upon, let them make sure there are people, only the people that need to know about whatever things they want to discuss are there with them. Otherwise, if you think these leakages, they don't emanate from high places, you are joking. And another thing again here is, Dr. Yahuza asked either me or Wing Commander to say something about the recruitment during the Biafran War. I was 21 years old that time when the war started. In 1967, I was a 21-year-old man. I've been in Kaduna. I was born in Kaduna. I was so what happened in one of the barracks at Mogadishu, all the barracks here, where the recruitment was taking place and so on and so forth. We cannot say that we are going to go back and do the same thing now, because by the end of the day, if all said and done, these things is all over, the matter that is going to slap us on the face is the matter of demobilization. We are talking of economic situation of the country. So by the end of the day, you will find that why not concentrate serious intelligence mechanism, gathering, operation, whereby if there is a concrete, excellent intelligence report, a battalion can do the job of wiping out, a brigade strength of enemies. But if you don't have this intelligence report, even if you recruit the whole of the youth in this country and just put them into this vast, I want you to imagine the vast forest in Niger State, the vast forest in Kaduna. When I say this forest, I'm talking of forest, a real forest. You cannot compare them with the forest in Zamfara and Sokoto in terms of their thickness, especially during rainy season. So even if you deploy all of them to go banga, that is this wide formation, they will not be able to do this. But with good intelligence, this is what I'm always wanting to encourage. Human intelligence, train people. Because if you say you are going to trust all these traditional leaders in the DC, they too, they are trying to preserve their own seats. They don't want to be known to be the what they call it, to be the whistleblowers. Because these people can come back to them in the night and tell them that you are the one who went and this is. So you find that their position is in the traditional areas there is not much helping, because they are always afraid. So they will even rather join the bandits one way or the other. For little, we have had so many cases like that. For some, so this is it. This intelligence job is not cheap. I repeat it, intelligence job is not cheap. We must be ready to spend money for intelligence to give to our gallant fighting chaps. You cannot just go and put them in one place or checkpoints and think that they will be able to do what you want them to do. You have to.
All right, Major Galma, thank you very much for your input this morning. It's been, we've heard so much that you've had to say, but because of time, we have to let you go at this point and get back to the studio for the closing remarks of Wing Commander Salmanu here. Maybe you want to, round it off on the note of the question I asked earlier to Dr. Yahuza Getso. How can those in authority in the security cycle, be held responsible? Dr. Yahuza Getso says, well, the solution does not lie in replacing them, but holding them accountable. So how do you hold them accountable?
Well, I think all the other panelists, what they have said, taking into cognizance or consideration what they have said, what I will add here is that from all actors, all stakeholders and so on, what we need is more sincerity of purpose. We must bring that to the table. We must ensure that all of us have that sincerity, that this is what we want to do and we're going to put everything to that. In respect of holding people accountable in everywhere, the ultimate is that you give people tasks, you give them the mandates, you give them the resources to carry out those tasks. If they don't perform, you relieve them. And if there are negligence that may be criminal or so
sabotage, perhaps,
then you prosecute them. So that nothing should be left out of the, everything should be on the table, from reprimand to whatever to sanctions. All forms of sanctions must be there. That is the only way that when we have sincerity of purpose and you have sanctions and our rewards, then I'm sure that we are going to move forward from the state that we are.
Thank you very much, Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, for joining us for the conversation.
Thank you
I
for
hope
having
that with all that has been said, we make some progress and, of course, deal with banditry. Thank you so much, development, peace and security experts. We do sincerely appreciate you, Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired. And, of course, we do appreciate Dr. Yahuza Getso, security intelligence and investigation expert, CEO, Director, Forest, Criminality Intelligence, Center for Security, Intelligence Research and Community-Driven Development, Abuja, and Managing Director, Ego Integrated Security and Logistics Company Limited. Many thanks, Dr. Yahuza Getso. I look forward to having you some other time, and thank you for your input today. Major Muhammadu Bashir Shaibu Galma, retired, who joined us all the way from Kaduna, member of the National Institute. Thank you so much. Member of the National. Thank you for being a part of the conversation this morning. And, of course, we must appreciate the Secretary to the State Government of Zamfara State, Abubakar Muhammad Nakwada. Unfortunately, we couldn't get your thoughts on the program because of, connection issues, but we hope that some other time we'll be able to have you again and, of course, hear your thoughts on the topic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Abubakar Nakwada. We do sincerely appreciate you. All right, so that's Good Morning, Nigeria, this Tuesday. Thank you for watching. Remain tuned to the NTA. I'm Yenri John.
And I'm Victor, as we appreciate your company. Do join us again tomorrow. Bye for now.